I'm retired Battalion Chief Larry Cockman from the Greensboro, North Carolina Fire Department History Book Committee. We're here today at the Greensboro Historical Museum. I'm standing in front of the General Greene, the first steam pumper, or as they called it back then, the steamer. Today, December 9th, 2019, we are starting a new tradition of recording and preserving the heritage and culture of our retirees. Our retirees have contributed so much to the success of our great fire department. Their stories retire with them and are sometimes gone forever when they pass away. They will share their emergency calls that will always be a part of their memories forever. So sit back and listen as they carry us through their journey in the Greensboro Fire Department.
Well, it's James Arthur Goins, and now I'm 91. I was born about 5 miles from where I live now. I was born right there. You know what used to be a fire station at Lindley Road and College Road? They had to tear the house down I was born in to build a parking lot. And I've moved straight on out on Fleming now behind the college. Working with Exxon, delivering bottled gas, propane. I quit Exxon and I didn't have a job, so I applied to the fire department. I went up Central, and Crumpler, who was a deputy chief, he said, "You know, we might need you." He said, "But you got to wait till somebody was retired, and back then you couldn't have two on the same retirement, I guess." I don't know why it worked, but they gave me a date that he was going to retire. So I came back, and when Moon found out that my wife was from the mill village where he lived, they couldn't have not hired me if they'd have tried. R.L. Powell was the training officer then, and I think Moon did it to spite, I can't verify that, Powell. But he told him, he said, "I only come to training the days I was on duty. If I was off duty, I didn't come over there." The rest of them came every day, except me, and Moon said he ain't coming on his day off. And Big John Michaels, he said, "I got to go every day." I said, "I can't help it, John. I didn't have nothing to do with it." So, yeah, and I asked a boy the other day, my niece's son is a fireman in Winston. I asked him, I said, "Do you still jump in the life net?" He said, "No. We slide a hose down." I said, "Well, we get up there and look up and go down." I said, "You get about halfway down, they holler, 'Hold it!' You can't hold it." How many? Oh, it's probably a dozen. Wheeler, John Michaels. Manus came on when we was about 2/3 through.
Okay.
And that's where this valve developed from. But I went on for 25 years before I had it. I went to the doctor and he told me what was wrong. But most of the time that I don't know whether it was in the training or not, Larry, because I wouldn't have had it that long. I was advancing a hose up the tower. It could have been just a training session with the company, but when I got to the roof, everything looked blurry. And I sat down a little bit and it got better, and I don't know how long it was really. Well, the people were friendly. Even the older members, like Al Stewart and Carnell Russell and all that bunch, Vic Stockard, they all was. Well, Malin was on Engine 2 when I went there. Him and Randall Simpson, Benny Wright, Vic Stockard, Bill Osborne, and Paul Brown was the two drivers. Right. Now my second captain was F.B.H. Price, Bull Price. He would tell you, he's told me a lot of times, he said, when I see smoke or fire, it makes me nervous. And he'd just scream and holler, and everybody come to me and say, what did he say? I said, he said, get a broom or get a mop or get a whatever. And I know one day we went out Elm to Wendover. Then Wendover was just a little 2-lane street. And we was trying to turn in on Wendover, and there was a woman trying to get out. I just stopped in the street and let her get out. Oh, Lord, the Price was standing up in the floorboard of that truck, leaning over the windshield, just screaming. Scared that poor woman to death. Al Stewart said I reminded him of a guy that he knew. His name was Sam Garrison. And he called me Sam, and it lasted from then on. I never knew him either. I was in the K&W not long ago, and Randall Simpson was in there. He said, hey, Sam, who's calling me? He said, if I'd have said Engine 2, you knew who it was.
Yeah.
Engine 2 had chili beans and beefaroni. That was their specialty. And now truck 2, which was Roland Scott, they cooked, I don't know what, but somebody made a complaint about it, and he just dumped it all in the garbage can. Then he went to the store and bought us all something. Somebody broke a window in the door between the bathroom and where you sleep. And they didn't know what to do about it because they was horseplay is what they do. I went down to the office and told Chief Warwick, I said, and the door glass got broke. He said, well, go next door to Pittsburgh and get a nut. I said, well, I've already measured it. He said, well, go get one, buddy. While I was at Pittsburgh, Engine 2 went out. So I come back, they said, hey, you missed the truck. That's supposed to be a no-no.
Right.
But I said, I don't remember. Chief Warwick sent me to Pittsburgh. He said, oh, forget it, forget it. The corner of Bennett and Washington, and I stayed on the truck. I didn't even get off. I didn't know what I was supposed to do anyway. And there wasn't nothing but a pot of beans or something on the stove. I know the first, well, this was down the road away when a captain was off and I was riding what they call shotgun. We went on Beach Street. That's where the city reservoir burnt the trash and all that. And they had a kitchen fire. Wasn't structure, it was. So I went in there, me and Raymond was one, and Wooten. He was on Engine 2 at one time, And as the guy picked up a stick of stove wood, he said, "You ain't coming in here." I just reached out and took his stove wood and threw it in the corner and went on in. Wooden said, "Darn, that's the meanest man I ever saw." New home builders, but just so happened I was off.
Okay.
And I came back and somebody asked me, they said, they was behind a piece of plywood and it caught fire. They said, "Boy," I said, "you was too darn close. Back up."
Okay.
And oh. Yeah, but I wasn't on it. I was off that day.
Okay.
We took an exam. Well, it was a captain. Might have been, I don't know what it was for, but Harry Brown and them, they didn't, I passed it. In fact, I came in second. Must have been for battalion chief.
Okay.
And that's when they skipped me and Coble. But they said, "Well, what did you put down that you credited your knowledge of firefighting?" I said, "From my past captains, Price, Noonan," and he said, "Hey, we didn't think about that." I said, "Well, they's the one that graded my paper." Why didn't I give him the credit? I know Ed Fullington came over there. I don't know where Ed was originally, but he said, "You know, this is the easiest job I ever had." He said, "It's the first company I was ever on when they tell me what to do and when to do it." I know the first fatality we was on, George Trogdon and Willie Johnson I was at 3 then, and they'd never been on a fatal fire. And there was a woman in there on a couch and her leg was burned off at her knee. And George was just hollering, wanting me to get her out. I said, "George, it's too late. You take this hose and you keep the fire back away from her till the ambulance crew gets here to get her, or funeral home or somebody." He said, "Golly, they guys." He's calm.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know, we never started making much money until I made captain. And
So you
up
made,
until then, fireman's pay was poor. Police made a lot more money. They still do. I guess it's when I was promoted to captain, I guess. I went home, my son was sick. I don't know what was wrong with him now, but I asked him if it'd make him feel better if I told him that I'd been promoted. He said, "He didn't know." Because he wasn't very old.
right.
He's born in 54, and I went there, and, well, it's been 10 years later. Because I know when I was thinking about coming back after this surgery, when Powell was chief and Kent was his cohort, I knew that they had just promoted, no test, just took Michaels, not Big John, but the other one, and put Wayne Sandridge in supply and made this other guy battalion chief. And he never even had a captain's test. Not as a fireman. Now, Vic Stockard was drowned, as you know, and he was working. In fact, I was supposed to work for him the day that he didn't come to work, that he drowned.
Your brothers.
Well, if they'd have died on a fire, it would have been different. But Vic died mowing grass around his pond, and the tractor turned over with him. Most of you just do your job, Larry. But I remember we went to Reedsville, they had a fire over there in a restaurant, and they wanted assistance from Greensboro. Well, I don't know whether Chief Wyrick, who seemed to take a liking to me, I told you that before, he said, "Who's on duty on Engine 2 today?" They told him, he said, "I want them to go with me to Reedsville." Well, he took off in his car and we followed him. When we got over there, the fire chief from Reedsville was there, and there was, back in the building, it was one place you couldn't get to with the fire hose, it wouldn't reach. So I picked up a pot and went out in the street, in the gutter, and dipped up a pot of water. Chief Wyrick said, "What you gonna do with that?" I said, "Well, I got a spot in there they can't get to with the hose. I'm gonna put this on." And the chief in Reedsville said, "I never thought of that." Moon said, "That guy right there is the best firefighter Greensboro's ever seen." He said, "If he can't do it, forget it." And after we got back to the station, he said, "I thought that truck could run faster than that." I said, "No, it's wide open." He said, "Well, I had to slow down and wait on you every once in a while." I said, "Well, I couldn't help it. It wouldn't go any faster." But he picked the truck he wanted to go. Extinguish the fire, go in, don't back out, go in and get it.
Go get it.
A lot of us did not wear our Scott air packs like we should. Now Fred Lawrence, he didn't have his on, he's gone. Asbestos. But some of us got lucky. Yeah, I know when I was at 3, we answered proximity meal. When the alarm would come in, proximity, no, print work, the one over straight across. We'd go over there, cut the siren off before we got there. We'd go and look up, they had those cat houses, they called them, lint catching places. You could hear those guys up there say, "Where's them firemen? Where's them firemen?" We were down there looking up at them. Finally, we'd tell them, say, "Hey, we're here." They'd come down. The one it's on Yanceyville on the left, that Revolution, that's the one that they have a lot of lint under the building. Well, Sprinkle come over there. He wasn't the battalion chief in that section, but he was there. And he had his radio over his shoulder and his hand. And there's holes under there that deep but full of water. Sprinkle stepped in one of them. He said, "Holy smoke, it's up to your ass." Had the radio in it. 24 on, 24 off. Just had 2 shifts. The firemen's wives, I don't know, they've been out here. That's what I don't understand, why they changed the name of the club from the Firemen's Club to the Firefighters when they hired women. How many women you got members of the club I'm talking about? None.
True.
Why did we even change it?
Right.
They used to come out here, not the firemen, the firemen's wives. I've seen this place full. That's where I knew Cornell Russell's wife and everybody's wife. Well, they would cook, serve a meal to the firemen. It wasn't limited like club members. There's any fireman. I mean, we have 100 people out here. They cooked a meal. I cooked it.
What about?
they had an explosion at Pomona Mill, Pomona Terracotta. Moon went out there because they was needing the auxiliary to bring stuff to them. And my wife went out there and Moon told her, said, take it around there. Jane come back and told me, she said, there were dead people back there, and Moon sent me back there. I said, that's just Moon work, don't worry about it. Yeah, but they was eating, Jane, Kathy, and Phil, at 3. We had steaks and went on board and picked up our fork. Alarm went off. It was after midnight we got back. Our supper was in the refrigerator. They'd gone home. Well, Cornell Russell was one. Well, he was my captain for a while, and when he went to the training center, they transferred Vic to 7 and made me driver on engine 2. And I got a lot of lip that when a friend of mine went to the training center, that's when I promoted.
Okay.
Whole lot of it was just playing. Well, they didn't believe it when the captain's list came out when I made it. They was all guessing. They had them right, but one. I told them I was Frank Jones, Berman Royal, and John Nicholson, and me. Well, they had the first 3, but they didn't have. And there was a scratched on the light pole out front and metal. Said, beware of Sam. I go to the doctor and they say, you got a teenage blood pressure. I said, well, good for me. I went to my heart doctor this November the 1st. And he said, you know, if I had to guess, I'd say you be back next year. Beefaroni is mostly what engine 2, nobody else got on that. They saved it for them because they would cook that. And most people you meet don't even know what the job of a fireman is.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you know, Levi Miller was on that same fire that Fred Lawrence was on, and they both gone. It's off of Edwardia Drive. It was a manufacturing place, and it had asbestos in it. And Fred and Levi both come up with lung cancer.
We hope you enjoyed watching these documentaries. It was our goal to share and preserve the memories of our retired Greensboro firefighters. It is our desire that these documentaries will inspire future generations to continue the brotherhood, sisterhood, and camaraderie while always striving for excellence in their careers. While fire apparatus, equipment, and technology have improved, several things will always remain the same. The courage and bravery it takes to mitigate natural and man-made disasters will always be a part of the job. Although our retirees are no longer a physical part of the GFD world, a giant piece of each retiree's memories have been shared with you today. These memories will be in their hearts and minds forever. A special thank you goes out to Captain Harold Haney for his many long hours of recording and editing. Thank you, Harold. A job well done.